A critical rule here. If you have questions, I don't like going back and trying to hunt for the slides, so please jump in and say, Bob, what the heck does that mean? Or just interrupt. It's a lot easier that way, and the conversational impact of that, I think, will be better for the group. So if you'll make a commitment to that, I'll make a commitment to moving the process along as well. So what we have here is thriving on chaos. Now, what I've done is, I think you commented on what the subtitle here. Thriving in Chaos is the title of one of my favorite books by Tom Peters, if you know the name Tom Peters. And he talks about just using chaos to your advantage, how to get through it, how to use it to your advantage to be more successful and understand how you can be more successful in the business world. So I chose that because I think you're going to see that when you think these things through, there is a lot of chaos in the world, but you can make sense of it and make hay with it if you pay attention. Now, so I'm going to talk about, I call this opportunities, but we could really call these challenges, if you will. I like opportunities as a more positive term, and I want to talk about each of these in brief. What is the opportunity for the entrepreneur? And it starts with the vision, mission. What the opportunity is that you get a chance to create your own thing. If you're starting a company, you can create your own vision, create the mission in statements that you actually define yourself. And that's a real advantage to the entrepreneur versus the guy in the corporate world who says, I don't agree with that, and the boss says, you will agree with that because that's the way we do it here. Okay, so that's the opportunity for the entrepreneur. And every entrepreneur I've ever known who really is truly an entrepreneur feels the same way about that. I'd like to make my own rules, create my own vision and mission for the enterprise. And that involves change. The opportunity for the entrepreneur is to change something. It might be an improvement on an existing product or service. It might be a whole new product or service, something nobody's thought of before. That happens all the time in the entrepreneurial world. And so that change for in the product or the process, and frankly, as we all know, you can change the world as an entrepreneur. Steve Jobs did it. Watson did it. All kinds of example after example. Go back to Alexander Graham Bell, my background with phone company. You heard all about that. So it just takes change. And personal growth takes several forms, but I kind of boil it down to a couple of key things: knowledge and skills. Acquire knowledge that will help you be successful, and the skills that supplement that knowledge so that you can actually put that knowledge into good use. And I know that this is an issue among young entrepreneurs and young people in general. I'll tell you, as I maybe digress here a little bit. I was asked to serve at the Darien Community College with something called a Council on Student Advisory Services. And what our mission was to make it easier for students, especially those about to graduate and into the labor market, make it easier for them to find work. And we focused a lot on soft skills, for example. Well, I read resumes. This is a true story. I read resumes that were written in text format. Okay, not Y-O-U, you. No punctuation, no paragraph, no nothing. Just and resumes that seriously were going to be presented to an employer. And now don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. I'm looking around. Presented to an employer in text form by an individual with tattoos up to here, down to his wrists, and wondering why he can't get a job in Las Cruces. And the reality is, that's a turn. So it's an opportunity for personal growth and understanding where you are and how you can do a better job. Financial gain, obviously, a practical matter. Everybody wants to make money. So if you create an enterprise that makes you money, great. What's wrong with that, right? That's the American way, and it should, as it should. We also emphasize relationships. I've been, as I said, in the business community here for a long, long time, and I pride myself on relationships. The last time I looked, I have, and I count these every now and then, but my Outlook contact file is about 2,800 entries. And I know I can go and find a lot of resources there whenever I want. by title, by name, by company, by what have you. And that's a real benefit. If you're starting a company, you need to reach out and find those resources. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. And this relationship thing really kind of leads me into this next slide. Okay, the payoff, first of all, for the entrepreneur. What does the entrepreneur get? Well, we just talked about some things, some of the benefits. If you create a successful enterprise, the entrepreneur broadens himself, gets financially independent, maybe gets some opportunities in the business environment, and is better off as a result. The stakeholders. Everybody know what we mean by stakeholders? How we define the stakeholders? All those people who buy stock in a company, anybody who's invested in your enterprise at whatever level. It might be the guy who gave you $500,000. It might be the guy who's crowdfunding and is giving you $100. But those are stakeholders. They're also your employers, the employees, your customers. Everybody has a stake in how your company does, how successful you are. The economy benefits because you've created something that might end up creating jobs, ingesting more revenue streams into the economy, making some other people's lives better, whether it be individual stakeholders, your customers, the community in general. And that's where the community is better off if the economy is better off. It's just a natural progression. Finally, if I could be so bold to say that society as a whole is better off. And one of the things I thought about when I put that bullet point in there is that how is society better off? Well, every time somebody builds a new mousetrap, somebody else is thinking about how can I apply that to cats? Okay? And you find another application for it. It's about applications in many cases. And so if somebody sees a new development done in El Paso and they read about it in Moscow, guess what? Society in general may benefit from the collaboration that unintentionally has happened between those two far-flung points. And I can give you examples of those too, but suffice to say that really does happen on a global basis in society. Does happen. Questions at this point? So we're going to talk about some bumps in the road. That's really the way what Melissa presented to me as what she wanted to talk about today. So here we go. And this may not be an all-inclusive list, but it's my best stab at trying to identify the things that bubble to the top when we talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, people trying to start new businesses or grow existing businesses, and the challenges that they may face. The one that always comes up first is capital access. I just heard a few minutes ago about someone maybe not needing capital to grow their business. That's fine. That's great, okay, if you're in that situation. But the fact is, people need capital to get started. They don't always know how to get it. And so that's one of the things we have to address. We're helping companies to start up. I mentor some companies at the Hub of Human Innovation, and capital always comes into the conversation very early on. And following very closely behind by some of these other issues. Capital can take many forms, again, from $100 to $1.5 million or whatever. I've been involved in raising capital for, we're in the middle of one now that's about 7.2, well, somewhere between 1.8 and 7.2 million dollars. And we're looking at the whole universe of where that capital might come from to try to fund this energy-related enterprise. Very interesting thing. Just one example. And I use that example for a couple of reasons. Number one, to identify the capital need. But number two, to point out that El Paso, if you're doing business in El Paso, it's not just little stuff. There are a lot of big deals that happen here in El Paso, and you need to be aware of that. And that by inference, there are a lot of big deals made by a lot of people here who now want to help other folks become big deals. So if you're an entrepreneur, that's important too. And so capital access is that one of those bumps in the road. But what do you need to do what do you need in order to justify sometimes that capital? Management skills, the first thing that comes to mind. We're going to talk more about each of these, but we're going to expand on each of these to some degree. But management skills are what those investors and stakeholders look for when they're trying to determine whether they're going to help you with that access to capital. The market, the parentheses there is meant to indicate both market and marketing intelligence if needed. And again, that's very important. Many times people totally misread the difference between those two terms, and they misread the implication of those two terms. The market is always influences how you do marketing, but you need to really be attentive to both sides, the market and the market intelligence. And you know, everybody makes mistakes in this area. Okay, so if you misinterpret the market or the readiness of the market, you're not alone. I'll give you an example from my career. When I was with the phone company, Bell Labs, Bell Laboratories was the research laboratory that generated all kinds. They did like 10 patents a day, and they incredibly intelligent people working there. And they used to send stuff out to the field. Well, one day they called us all together here in El Paso, and they said, "We're marketing people here because we have some large customers in the area. We're going to introduce a new product to you that we want you to go and sell." And so we got all excited, and we sat down in the conference room, and they showed us something called picture phone. Okay, wow, it was really cool. Picture phone. AT&T's going to roll this out. Bell Labs has made a really great product. We took that and we went out to sell it. We couldn't sell a picture phone system here to say something. It's just the market just wasn't ready for it. And it turned out that was true globally in the markets. Number one, if you had picture phone service, the guy you were trying to reach had to have picture phone service. Okay? Guess what? You can't dictate to someone's customers that they have to have this picture phone service in order to apply it. So the applications were very limited. A great example of a rollout of a product when the market wasn't ready for it. It just wasn't there. Now, as you all know, years later, picture phone, webinars, teleconferencing, the video teleconferencing, how it came into vogue. And if you have an iPhone with FaceTime, you carry picture phone service on your belt. I talk with my brother, back in Maine. It's just on FaceTime. It's great stuff. Picture phone wasn't ready. It's with us now, but it's a different version of picture phone for sure. So market intelligence. There was I'll give you an example on the other end of that spectrum. Again, while I was with AT&T, I was asked to serve and actually lead a task force to assess the viability of AT&T entering the retail market. And because we'd always done, marketing over the phone in business office, and the marketing staff going out visiting businesses one-on-one and so on. So the concept was, let's see if we can establish a storefront where we can sell our business products and services at that storefront. And so we put this plan together, and we came up with a concept, and we came up with the design, and we actually built a center to show these business products here in El Paso. It was on Westmoreland Street. We had it there for a number of months. AT&T came and looked at it, and we assessed the success of it and so on. And sure enough, they decided that could work. But they decided they'd start with the consumer side of it. Guess what? Phone center stores. That was the birth of the phone center stores for AT&T. It happened right here in El Paso. So, anything that happens, just don't reject them just because they've been done before or because we're El Paso. It's important to differentiate the internal view from the global focus, or from internal focus from the global view. And by that I mean very simply, make sure that don't do it just for yourself. If you're starting something, do it for the global view, the world, if you will. Too many times I've seen entrepreneurs who will say, "This is a really great product, often technology, it's a great product. I'm going to start a company around it, and this is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread." The problem is it never comes to fruition because they didn't look at the global view, which said nobody else is interested. Okay, so that's what I mean by this, the global view versus just internal focus. And then finally, failure. More practically, I suppose, fear of failure. This is a major problem. I talked with entrepreneur who said, I don't think that can work because I just don't see that happen. Well, that's admission of failure, before the fact. Okay, so I've rejected, when I was consulting, I've rejected engagements just for that conversation. Like, I'm not playing that game because you're not committed to it. It is about commitment. And fear of failure will kill that commitment in a heartbeat. It's just not worth, to be blunt, it's not worth my time to try to work with someone who's so afraid of failing that they won't try. Okay. There's another bullet on this slide that I want to mention to you. It should be on the slide, and that's the bump that involves growth. Now, a lot of people think that I started a business, I had this company, and I want it to grow, take off. Okay, just really, I want to get rich quick. I want it to grow. I want it to be 100 people, employees immediately, and let's get on with it. Well, that can be the death knell, because growth too fast can be the same as no growth or just too slow. And it's important that you understand that as an entrepreneur, that you can grow too slow or too fast. It's managed growth is the key here, and get a handle on what you can handle as an enterprise, whether you're a single person company or a larger organization with departments and so on. You still have to manage that growth, because you can grow too fast, you can grow too slow. Grow too slow, example. I worked for Wang Laboratories running their computer operation, as I mentioned earlier, where they ran into trouble was they grew too slow. They couldn't keep up with all the change. They were kind of mired in some of the products that they had and wouldn't make the change to keep up with what was happening with the right speed, with PCs, laptops, what came to be what were the forerunners. Wang Laboratories developed a portable PC shortly before I left the company, and this PC weighed about 80 pounds. I lifted one. You could carry it around. It took two grown men to do that. We thought we would sell a bunch of these to El Paso Natural Gas Company, which was the largest single Wang installation in the world here in El Paso. Like Wang hired me, and we thought that it would be great. At the same time, I just kind of did a digression there. At the same time, Wang Laboratories developed a 1 gigabyte drive. It was this long. Like that. They wheeled them into the computer room on carts. How many gigabytes are you carrying on your belt? 64, probably. But I think back on it, it's just laughable. Right? But they didn't adapt. They had a great product, but they didn't adapt. So Wang Laboratories died eventually. I was part of the death scene, I guess, because I was asked to go and reorganize the service department for Wang Laboratories, and how we did service for our customers scattered around the country. We had a bunch of one-person branches providing service parts and so on and support for since we had to redo that. The other end of that spectrum, time I spent with MCI. MCI, do you remember MCI? The first non-AT&T long-distance company. Right? They won all those legal battles and got authorized to provide long-distance service, mostly microwave, but people were just waiting, chomping at the hip to get that alternative to AT&T long-distance service. And so I was asked to start the company's office here in El Paso, and I did. And it went fine for a year or so, but they were going so fast. And the attitude of MCI's management, top to bottom, was as long as there's a lot of money coming in the front door, everything is fine. No. It was growth that was too fast, infrastructure did not keep up, and they failed. MCI just went away. They were bought out by another company. You probably know the rest of that story. But an example of growth too fast without the appropriate management attention. There are a number of sources of capital, and I've listed some of them here. There are a couple I'm going to add on here as we go through. But corporations often provide capital. The corporation may provide its internal capital. That's important to the growth of an ongoing enterprise, for example. Generate capital internally, but even large corporations will go out to the bond market to wherever to get large infusions of capital. There have been a couple of cases that I've seen personally where companies here locally have done IPOs. We know what an IPO is, right? And so, no, that's an issue of public offering, where you go to Wall Street and you offer stock, and the Wall Street says, yeah, we're going to buy, Morgan Stanley says, yeah, we're going to buy 8 million shares of that stock to get that company off the ground, to make a transition from startup to growth or what have you. Okay, so the whole spectrum. There are corporations who will look at a lot of different opportunities. And again, they typically put parameters around those opportunities to guide them through based on their mission. Yes, okay. Banks and other financial institutions also get involved in providing capital, much more conservative typically than even corporations. Banks will limit investment in new. The fact of the matter is they don't do much investment in new businesses. Startups is not basically on a bank's screen. They like to lend to an established customer who has $4 million in annual sales and needs $200,000 more to buy a couple of vehicles or something. That's the kind of thing they do. Rarely will you see a bank look at a startup. The exception might be where an existing client who has a great track record with that bank wants to start a new company over here and is asking, but then the bank will ask him to pledge all kinds of assets and make all kinds of deals, personal skin in the game and so on. So that's kind of the way that works with banks. And other financial institutions, to your question, include things like venture capital firms. And venture capital firms, there are hundreds of them out there. So they go all over the ballpark. When I was consulting, I did a lot of work finding capital for small to large businesses. And I had a desk reference. The book is about that thick, full of venture capital or capital sources. And it would give you the name of the company. It would give you their parameters, how much what their baseline is, and how much the max is, who the principals were, phone numbers, where they live, all that kind of stuff. So there are references we can find and stuff. And I'll mention briefly that let me skip down to the angels. There was again to your question, a number of years ago there were some high net worth individuals in El Paso who created an angel network. Everybody familiar with the term angels? Okay. So angels are closely related to this. Qualified investors, typically it's a number of qualified investors who get together. You may have dinner and you invite 3 or 4 entrepreneurs in to present their business case. And then they sit down with those people if they're interested and say, tell me more, and I have X number of dollars to invest. An example, I was told just recently, and I wasn't aware of this, but I was told by a pretty good source that actually in El Paso, you familiar with LifeLock? You know what LifeLock is? Identity theft prevention and security law? Well, there's a high net worth individual in El Paso who invested $300,000 in that company. And that investment is now worth $10 million. So there are people here that will do this. Don't count yourself out of that access capital just because we're not passive. And I say that, I don't mean to beat up on it, but a lot of people in this town think there's not that kind of opportunity. And there is. Now, the angel network that was created here in El Paso those years ago disbanded. And the reason was that they didn't have the deal flow coming to them, which you need to have to justify those periodic meetings. I got to pay for that dinner at the El Paso Club. As we listen to the presentations from these entrepreneurs, and so it just came apart. About 2.5 months ago, I was at a reception at the Federal Reserve Bank, and I ran into the guy who organized that first Angels group. He was moaning about it. He said, "We just would like to get that started again, but they just don't have a deal flow." Maybe he said, if we could see evidence that there's more going on, we could get it back together. And I said, "Well, call me if you." Not that I'm an angel, but I'd love to get involved in bringing deals to the door for those people. Okay, so angels are a real alternative to your question. Okay, the next thing on the list is shells. Anybody know what that concept is? I did a couple of things with shells when I was consulting. Essentially, what this means is it refers to a situation where. Well, I'll give you an example. One that we did, we had a company, a client here who needed capital, and they weren't able to find it from typical sources. So with some research, we found a company, now defunct, or then defunct, in New Jersey. This company was not operating any longer. They had basically closed their doors, but they were still officially a company, okay? It was a shell. And guess what? This company had on their books still assets of about $3.1 million. So what do? You can see it coming. You throw my client into that shell, you've got a new company, but you've got the assets of that company to use to build your new enterprise. So that's kind of an exception. You don't see that very often, but it is something that people look at because, believe it or not, I learned there are a lot of shells out there. A lot of people looking to do something with those. And in some cases, when they shut their business down, they don't have all the options. There are bylaws, there are charters, what have you, that don't allow you to do all kinds of things. So a shell may be one of the solutions that they have to keep them to stay in business too. So this shell ended up basically injecting about $1.2 million into my client's business at the time. An interesting concept. Government lenders, SBA, you've heard all these, SBA, World Bank at a higher level. HUD does some things, Bureau of Land Management, those kinds of entities you can find specific to your application, your product, your company that you're trying to get started. So the message there is just look around, just try all the resources. Yes, ma'am.
What are your thoughts about crowdfunding?
Yeah, I'm going to get that. That's one of the bullets that I didn't put up here, but it's a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I really like the concept. You're familiar with Spira?
Yeah.
Spira, Andy Krafser is a good friend of mine. And he worked his tail off. Everybody know what Spira? Andy Krafser is a lawyer, and he designed and developed a new running shoe. And it has spirals in the heel, primarily in the heel, okay, that cushion the blow every time he recruited big name runners to endorse his product. And he did this through crowdfunding. He was asking people for $500, $1,000, $100, couple years ago, and he had these meetings with these people. Now there were a few people came to with $10,000, and he did this for years. He sold a lot of shoes, but he couldn't quite get it off the ground. Crowdfunding is a great news source. I hear stories about crowdfunding all the time. I think it's a viable thing that small business can use, and if you understand the rules and how to go about doing it, there's a lot of marketing involved. The rules and how to do it, it can be a really good thing. Now, I'll tell you, I looked at Beto O'Rourke running for the Senate, right? I'm not going to take money from the PAC. I'll take your $10 donation, your $15, your $25. That's crowdfunding. He's crowdfunding a Senate. A Senate campaign. That's all it is. So yeah, you're going to see more of that, and he's caught on. I don't know if that came from his business background, but it's a work for that kind of thing. The other thing is, it's not on here, is that you never lose sight of the fact that there are other entrepreneurs out there who may be willing to help you as well. The guy who started his company 5 years ago is doing really well right now, sees a relationship between what you're trying to do and what he's done, and says, I have an extra $100,000 in the books, and I can help you with that. Let's make a deal. Not merging necessarily, but collaboration, some kind of a partnership, joint venture, all kinds of functions that you can do with that. So just other, the term serial entrepreneur comes to mind because there are those people here as well. How am I doing time-wise, Melissa? So I promised I'd talk about management a little bit, and these 4 items. Either management or business majors. I don't know what your backgrounds are. So, good. If you've seen these terms, I remember about PODC, P-O-D-C. Okay, it's planning, organizing, directing, and control. Those are the 4 primary management functions in any organization. I don't care if it's one-person organization or AT&T. Those you have to do these things. The plan, it starts with a business plan. If you're an entrepreneur, you better look at having a business plan of some type. I mean, it goes all over the ball. I've seen business plans of 35 pages. I've seen business plans of 2 pages, 2.5 pages. And both of them can work if it's done right and given this situation. Okay, so, but a plan needs to be in place in some way, shape, or form. You all heard the story about how Southwest Airlines was founded by a business plan. The plan was written on a napkin at the airport in San Antonio. You know what we're going to do? We're going to fly between San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas in regular flights, and that's how we're going to start. That's how Southwest Airlines got started. And literally, it was planned on a napkin in the airport terminal. Okay, so plan, business plan, technology plan, marketing plan, strategic plan. you gotta have some kind of plan in place to do what to get started and do what you want to do. Then organize based on that plan. Is it just me? I'm gonna do all this stuff? Or do I need a CEO? Do I need a marketing guy? Do I need an accountant? And then when you've decided all that, where are you gonna get these people? So if you don't have any money, maybe you're gonna go to your personal account and say, Jill, would you help me? I'll go over here, come set up my books for me, and I'll pay you $100 to do that. So what's that? You're just outsourcing this stuff. So you outsource what you need if you don't have that resource in-house, but nevertheless get organized and understand how you're gonna look to the rest of the world and what's best for getting your job done. Directing means just what it says, directing. Okay, now let's go and do this. If you got a subordinate, I want you to go out today and sell these three clients something. All right? Or we're going to move our base of operations from here to here. Those all directing things, okay? And you have to do that, obviously, to get the business going. Finally, the controlling option is, what I've got this plan together, I've organized it, I've got people out there doing stuff. Are we doing the right things? Well, guess what? You've got to look at the measurements that apply to your business. Did you make the sales that you needed to make to remain viable? Did you hit the crossroads point in terms of your revenue versus expense? Did you hit the numbers that you established in terms of all of the primary functions that you're going to have in your new business? Or did you not? That's the controlling part. It's looking at the measurements that you established and saying, are we getting where we're supposed to be? And guess what? If not, what do? Go back to plan. And go down that list again. So it's a continuum. You keep looking at all four of these functions, all four of these processes in the management sphere, and you keep doing it. It's, in my view, it's imperative that every entrepreneur, I don't care where you are in the stage of growth, what stage you're at, needs to understand these four principles and apply them to some way, shape, or form. And I've seen them done every way that you can imagine. Outsourcing, guys like me, I help people doing the management side, getting organized. AT&T trained me to do organization analysis and design, so I could help companies when I was consulting to get organized. So what's the right way to organize, and where are you going to get the resources, and how are you going to get the job done? Okay, typically these kind of come in order, but not necessarily. So you got to have some imagination when you go through these processes. What do I need to do now? Is it directing where I'm leading? Is it controlling what directives to be focused on? And as I said, it's a continuum, so it'll be to repeat over and over. Let's talk about marketing and marketing. Knowing the market is, I don't know what to say, what else to say. If you know the market, you know what the opportunity is out there. And I talked a little bit about Wang Laboratories, understanding what the market was, the growth there, and the non-growth there, about AT&T, understanding what the market was, smartphone. It's knowing the market. And it's separating intuition and intuitively from reality. Go back to what I said a few minutes ago, and that was, if you believe you got a world beater, but nobody else believes it, you don't have a world beater, because you're not going to be able to sell it. So the market is not just what you perceive it to be, the intuitive piece, it's reality. And where do you get reality? You go and find resources that tell you what that market is like, where the market is. Is it a niche market? Is it a global market? Where are you playing? Right? And so it's important to understand what the reality of the situation versus the intuitive condition. Get professional help if you don't know how to do that, or if you don't know what you should be looking for in terms of the market. And again, I think that what Melissa does here is one of those resources, probably. People, the professionals, the CPAs, the accountants, the lawyers, it's all those people. The hub of human innovation, which is a great resource for folks. I've had conversations working with the Medical Center of the Americas, MCA, and Schwartz. Are you with them?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. Well, we talked about maybe I'll run across it.
Yes, and we have 11 startups that are, some of which are from UTEP.
Yep.
That would, I understand the issue with deal flow, that is an issue in the region,
Yep.
but they are viable startups that were went through a thorough vetting process that perhaps will be coming additional funding.
Yeah. That's a great resource. Again, go back to the community. It's community. That potential is where I give with the participation and the collaboration with Texas Tech School and the whole medical community here. That's pretty powerful stuff. So that kind of professional help is available. Again, don't underestimate the availability of some of the stuff you want to outsource. If you can get help somewhere, if you really want to make something happen. Okay? We're going to get into that philosophy a little bit later too. So then timing the marketing entry and the market entry is key. If you're there at the wrong time, it's not going to work. And it's hard to put something on a shelf and then write a follow-up and do it 6 months later and try it. Okay. Or in some cases, a picture phone, 15 years later, and try that again. Make it work this time. Many people the entrepreneur can't wait around that long to take the next step because I already got to invest time in it, and I guess I'm not just going to get an 8-to-5 job because I didn't have that one. We'll talk about that concept a little bit more too. So I also differentiate between these next two terms here, aggressive versus assertive. And I throw that in there because I have a problem with aggressive marketing. You know, the email blasts that I get 3 times a day from the same people, no matter what you tell them about unsubscribing. The phone calls I get at 8 o'clock in the evening that are trying to sell me something. I don't know anymore because I never answer. But I'm getting calls and say, and you ever tried to stop your phone from being called? It doesn't work anymore. They get through somehow anyway. And well, I know how to get through it, you can't. So, assertive marketing is great. Aggressive, I'm not so much of a fan. Assertive means go in and get in the job. Go and make the pitch. Go and talk to them. Identify the potential customer and qualify that customer and go and make that sale assertively, nice, tactfully, in a professional manner. That's assertive versus aggressive. I think that's important for the entrepreneur to understand. If you're trying to get started and you're being really aggressive and obnoxious in how you do this, and I'll tell you, El Paso is one of those areas. I'll say, forget it. And guess what? My experience, the word will get out about that, right? I'll tell you. I do. I'm not lying. Anyway, so assertive versus aggressive, but includes selling. Many people starting out understand, they want to learn about marketing. That's the catchphrase, right? We got to market this correctly. But if you can't sell, marketing doesn't do you. Selling closes the sale. Marketing just opens the door to where you want to be. Okay? So you have to, people forget about selling in favor of just marketing. So, I talk about focus, and I start with this concept, you can't see the forest for the trees. Keep focused on what you're trying to do, but understand the implication of where you are in the scheme of things. In terms of your vision, in terms of the mission you have in front of you, what you've done in terms of the plan. You can see these are the elements of your plan. So stay focused on these things as an entrepreneur, and it's hard to go wrong. Unless you have a bad idea at the beginning, okay? But you've got to do these things to give yourself a chance at some level and to some depth. The vision, the mission, you know what these are, right? What's a vision statement? What we are, who we are. What's a mission statement? What we do. Big difference, and a lot of people don't. I see mission statements 2 paragraphs long, 3 paragraphs. Wrong. Vision statement, maybe 1 sentence. Mission statement, if it goes 3 paragraphs, you better go back to work on it again because it's too much. You know, basically you've graded the policy manual. You've got 3 paragraphs for the mission statement, right? So be careful of that. The strategy is what you're going to do to overall, to that maybe 20,000 foot level, to accomplish your mission, to realize the vision of your entity. And the objectives and goals serve that. Everybody understand that hierarchy? You've seen that? Because again, not everybody does, and it's really important to understand what you do. When you get down to goals, there may be a whole bunch of them, maybe 10 goals for every department in your company. There might be 10 goals for marketing, and 10 goals for accounting, and 10, and you manage that through this whole process. And what does this process take, incidentally? it's a word that I haven't shown here, but I'm deeply committed to this concept, and it's more than a concept, it's leadership. You've got to have leadership to do these things.
Yeah, maybe I'm not getting a big enough picture here, but I'm having hard time distinguishing objectives and goals.
Objective, let me put it at the department level, okay? Our objective is to increase sales by 18% next year, okay? That's the department objective, okay? Now, you, employee A, your goal is to increase the sales in your market, which is the technology market, by 47%, because that's the only way we're going to reach that
Broad
objective.
scope versus narrow scope.
Yes, that's right. Each one of these just drills down a little bit further. And then I could even go down further, give goals, I could say, well, activities, actions, beyond that. Take it to whatever level you need to make the thing work and be viable for you, whatever feels best to you. Okay, questions? Again, leadership, very, very important. I think that we see examples of entrepreneurs throughout whose leadership skills outweigh shortcomings in some of these other areas. We heard one Wednesday. Yeah. Miguel Gamino, he has leadership skills. He created a company, built a company from the ground up. Led the organization in El Paso, what is CIO or CTO, I forget the titles they use, same thing, CIO, CTO, in El Paso. It's a leadership position. They saw that in San Francisco and said, come here and lead our organization and fix what's going on in San Francisco. 3.5 years he stayed in San Francisco. New York City said, we see what you're doing as a leader out there in San Francisco. We want you here in New York City. Leadership is key. I was fortunate as a Rotarian with a team, built a leadership institute that we delivered a number of, well, we did for Rotarians here in El Paso, but then we were asked to deliver it to other Rotary clubs around the country. And interestingly, there's a group called Ambassadorial Scholars that Rotary funds and sponsors, and they are students from around the world who attend selected universities in the United States and other places, Australia and so on. But so we delivered this leadership institute to these young people at North Carolina and Duke, a joint kind of thing, and at Cal Berkeley. And these young people recognized immediately. They didn't also know when they walked in the door. They recognized immediately the importance of leadership and the skills leadership skills that you need to have in order to be successful. I became a friend of one of these people. This is a sidebar here. A friend of one of these young men who went back to India. He's an native of India. He went back to India. He now leads a huge chunk of the Economic Development Department of Mumbai. And guess what? Just recently, I made a contact between him and a company in El Paso who's trying to establish it. His leadership got him where he is, and his leadership, I think, is going to get him maybe another entry into his world. Okay. So, leadership is really important. So, talk about failure. And you remember I said fear of failure. It's part and parcel of entrepreneurs. If you're entrepreneurial, get ready for failure. If you are ready for failure, chances are you're going to succeed, right? And the next couple of bullet points, failure can breed success, but fear of failure breeds fear. Fear of failure means you don't try, and you can't get anywhere if you don't try. I had a couple of quotes here I think are appropriate. But when I talk about people who say, I don't want to try that doesn't have a chance. Yeah, we've tried that before. Well, you tried it 10 years ago. Things have changed. Okay, okay, just get over it. You have to try something else if you don't want to try it again. My advice is you try it again, but if you don't want to, move on. Okay, but fear of failure will kill your enterprise, like because you won't try it. And then I throw these quotes in there. One is I throw the loser card. I like Winston Churchill. He had some really good stuff that you know. And Henry Ford, he had his evidence of failures. He had his failures. He came up with that assembly line and made those cars, and he made a few bucks in his career. So He wasn't afraid of failure. Some closing thoughts. Stay engaged. Keep at it. If you're an entrepreneur that's trying to start something, don't give up too soon. Don't roll over on it. Just keep keeping on. And that's what I mean by staying engaged. Just keep after it. It's a quote, and I can't do a direct quote. I can't remember the direct quote, but the concept is this: if you stop, you just stop trying. Guess what? The next try you did might have been the success you're looking for. Okay, so you better be darn sure there's no place else to go before you just stop, right? And create change. And incidentally, I mentioned that change. Change is, I mentioned a while ago, that change is imperative. I know people who can't stand change. They kind of wallow in it, you know. But the axiom is this: if you stop changing, you stop. Okay? So keep changing. No matter how good you think your process is, no matter how good you think your organization is, keep looking for ways to change and get better. Change equals get better, right? Change equals improve. So if you stop changing, you stop. And that's an axiom in business. I don't know a business leader who wouldn't agree with that. You have to keep doing it. If the change might be growth, the change might be shrinking. The change is not all the same. You go back to what we were talking about, growth and pace of growth and so on. But you have to change. You have to change to keep up with what's going on and what you need in your organization. Okay. Network. We talked about outlet contacts and everything, and Melissa. We were networking, I think, when we came together on this thing. I love networking. I go to receptions. I go to networking functions. I do. Now, a lot of times now, it's people I know pretty well who are all the same people there. But networking is really important. And I'll tell you, in El Paso, I'm sure you all relate to this because of what MCA is doing. But networking is so important in El Paso because it's a small town with a big city attitude. It's a small town attitude with big city resources, can I say? There's a lot of stuff going on here that people don't recognize unless you go out in the network and find out what's going on. And the aha moments that I've had, like, really? Somebody's doing that? Are you kidding me? You're doing that here in El Paso? Yeah. Some months ago, there was a friend of mine lives in North Texas, Wichita Falls. Okay, and I was in a board meeting with him in Dallas. I said, Wayne, I've got to get back. He said, after this board meeting, I've got to get back because I got tickets to the Classic Film Festival. He said, where's that? I said, El Paso. You mean where's that? He said, well, I lived in El Paso for a long time. No, I've been there about 10 years, or back there about 8 years, I guess. I said, no, it's the biggest classic film festival in the world. Come on, El Paso, are you serious? Well, there you have it. It's a classic example. Not to use the word, it's an example. People don't understand the value of networking in El Paso, but you should, because there are a lot of resources and benefits you can get from looking around you in El Paso and see what's available to you. Okay, and the word is use any resource. Just go out and find it. There's a lot of stuff that you can use. The hub is one. Your technology tech transfer. I know that's not the official, but that's what it is. And what MCA is doing, it all comes together to provide opportunities for the entrepreneur if you just go out and look for use any resources. And then question any assumptions. Well, the assumption is there's not a market for this. Well, why isn't there? Is there a different market for it? Should I be looking elsewhere? One of the companies I mentor at the hub is look for doing business and organize. They had it together. We've got a plan put together for them and look like they're going to do okay. And then say, gee, the business isn't coming. So where have you looked? Well, the assumption was that we're going to operate in El Paso. The biggest line is about to be signed in Mexico. Okay, so just look across the border. It's a real simple thing. Just opening. I can oversimplify. But above all, have fun. You know, I'm in a Rotary club, and we have, there's a 4 we test the Rotary, but I like to add the 5th one, and that is have fun. Will it be fun? Okay. So we do a lot of work in the community, and we do projects and fun. So all of this can work, but there's a key word that comes into play to make it work, and that is discipline. All of the things we've talked about here, you can make notes on it all day long. If you don't have the discipline to say, yeah, we're gonna do that, yeah, we're gonna make that change, yeah, we're gonna address that different market, yeah, we're gonna shut that down because it didn't work, but we're gonna start this one because it's a better idea. But it takes discipline to say, and you know, I've been there before, it takes discipline to say, that didn't work. You know, I guess that didn't work, but I got another idea. And the entrepreneurial field here in El Paso is full of people like that. Andy Crafts is a successful attorney now. Went back to his roots, but he gave one heck of a shot to inspire shoes. And I know any number of people who really could. So, again, have fun, but use some discipline. And as a final thought here, and we've talked a lot about making money and financial gain and so on, but I serve on the boards of 6 nonprofit organizations. I will tell you that if you're engaged with a not-for-profit or a nonprofit organization, same rules apply. Okay? It's no different, except that you have the different rules of the bottom line. We have to reserve so much, you're going to give so much. If it's a foundation, for example, you're going to give so much each year, those kind of things. But in terms of organizing and the market and all that good stuff, it's the same thing.